Hey, what's up guys, Sean here, and I plan to do this with some people, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like at this time I'm going to be able to do that, so this is a video I'm going to record now at 1 in the morning on Sunday. If things change and I get it done sometime tomorrow afternoon, and then before Mania, I will upload it, but that seems highly unlikely at this time. So, here it is, my predictions for Mania. Not going to be a regular thing, but it's a thing for this thing. Okay, so I'm just going by Wikipedia's order. It's probably incorrect. Neville versus Aries. So, for this match, I mean, I don't really have any predictions planned out. Some things I kind of have planned out in my head, but other things I'm just going to kind of talk through as we go here. Neville versus Aries, I mean, you know, it's hard because I don't think either scenario makes sense. I don't think Neville retaining makes sense unless he does it by cheating. I don't think burying Aries makes any sense right now. So I'm going to pick Neville, but I'm going to pick Neville via tomfoolery of some kind. I don't think it's going to be clean, but I don't want to spend too much time on the pre-show matches. So Neville over Aries. As for the André the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, I have Sami Zayn. Reason being, he loses everything. They keep making him like fight to get into matches, fight to... After what happened on Monday, I think it only makes sense to have Sami win and have something to throw back in Stephanie's face. I don't think that Strowman winning it does much for him. They just had him go on a streak, basically, where he didn't lose all year, and he destroyed everyone in his path, basically. So, I mean, I think somehow or another, Sami eliminates Strowman to win, to prove that he's the best, and that's, you know, maybe Mick Foley fucking interferes and helps Sami Zayn win the Battle Royal. I don't know. But that's it for the pre-show. Moving on to the main card. For some reason, this is in a weird order, so I'm going to now reverse the order and read from the bottom to the top, because I don't understand why this is backwards. But okay. The Women's SmackDown title. Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, Natalya, Mickie James, Carmella, and Naomi. It's listed as the six-pack challenge for the title, even though I'm pretty sure it was announced as anybody on the SmackDown roster. So there is a chance that someone not listed here is in the match. I know there were rumors months ago about people returning and stuff at Mania, so keep an eye out for that to be a possibility here, but I don't think any of those people will win, so it doesn't really matter. I think these are the choices to win. Natalya's not winning this. Becky Lynch isn't winning this. I really don't think Carmella's winning this, although yesterday when I checked the odds, she was the second most likely to win, which blows my mind. So it comes down to Bliss and Naomi, I think. Mickie James, it doesn't make sense to put her over at Mania. I don't think she would want to be put over at Mania, considering, you know, she's a veteran, and I don't think she would want to go over the new people. So it probably makes sense to have Naomi win it back in her hometown. I think they wanted to go into Mania with her as champion and then probably have her lose it there, but being that she got hurt and whatnot, I think it makes sense to put her over here, so I'm going to go Naomi. Now the Gallows, Anderson, Enzo Amore, Cesaro, Sheamus. I missed Big Cass on that list, but nonetheless, you know, the Raw tag team titles, where everyone expects the Hardys to return, I would imagine. I don't think the Hardys would return during the match, only because return to do what? Like, unless they get added to the match and it becomes a fatal four-way, which, after what I got from Twitter tonight, it doesn't seem likely, because it seems like they had a hell of a fucking match at Ring of Honor. It would make sense to not have them interfere in this and to just return at a later date, maybe on Monday, but it doesn't make sense probably to put them in here, although, you know, there's a chance they, you know, maybe come out on the ramp after someone wins and point or whatever. But, as for who wins this, I mean, look, Cesaro and Sheamus should not win this. They shouldn't be a fucking tag team. But nonetheless, I guess Raw can't figure out how to use them in any other way, so right now they're a fucking tag team. Enzo Amore, Big Cass, seems like would be the winners here, only because, I mean, they want to sell fucking merch. It seems like the New Day's on their way out. The New Day's hosting. They're not even in a match. It seems like it's time to pass the merch torch. Gallows and Anderson, honestly, they should keep the titles, but I don't think that there is much financial benefit for the WWE to keep it on them, and I think it's likely that Finn returns to a program involving them And so I think Gallows and Anderson dropped the titles to Enzo and Big Cass mainly so that Gallows and Anderson can jump into a program with Finn, and not because I think that that is the correct answer, but I think that's the business answer, so I think that's what's going to happen there. Dean Ambrose versus Baron Corbin for the Intercontinental title that no one knew was on Dean Ambrose. At least that's how I feel. I think Baron Corbin has to win this. I don't see why you would have this match and have Corbin lose it. Corbin is supposed to be being developed as a new up-and-coming star, and I don't see that, you know, costing him a title match at WrestleMania would make any sense for them. I think Corbin wins. I think Dean Ambrose drops the title, although that would be 2 years in a row of him losing, and I don't know what happened before that. But I'm going to go Corbin here. It just makes sense, and, you know, for the future when they, you know, run a video package of, oh, this is how Baron Corbin came to be the best or whatever, it makes sense to have him winning the Intercontinental title for the first time at Mania rather than Dean Ambrose retained over him. I think that's not a good look. So I think Baron Corbin. Now John Cena, Nikki Bella versus The Miz and Maryse. John Cena wins. LOL. Like, is there a chance John Cena doesn't win this? Why would John Cena not win this? First of all, it's a terrible story for the Total Bella TV show if John Cena and Nikki Bella were to lose this after how this storyline's been presented. Second of all, it would make sense for the TV show that John Cena proposes to Nikki Bella at the end of this match. And lastly, like, The Miz has had a good run this year. He probably deserves to win a Mania match this year if there was ever a year for him to, you know, deserve and, like, need that moment. But, I mean, come on. Why would John Cena lose a match to The Miz and Maryse? Like, John Cena and Nikki Bella, they win. You know, who knows how, who knows why. Maybe The Miz is about to win and Daniel Bryan costs him the match. But one way or another, John Cena and Nikki Bella are winning this match. And John Cena is probably proposing because it makes for good TV. Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens for the U.S. title. This one is one of the harder ones for me to pick. I would say... I want to say Kevin Owens wins. And I want to say that because that's the most logical thing. But I think Jericho has one more... You know, I think Jericho has one more month before he heads off to sing and whatnot. But it kind of makes sense for Kevin to obliterate Chris. Although, in the same sense, Kevin kind of, you know, played Chris the whole time. So it almost makes sense for Chris to finally get his revenge. But, I mean, the question... the thing... Okay, I'm going to connect the dots on two matches here. Kevin could get an assist from Samoa Joe here. And when he gets that assist, say Jericho takes out Samoa Joe somehow, which prevents Joe from interfering in Rollins Triple H, like later in the evening or something, which would then allow Seth Rollins to go over Triple H in that sense. But, I mean, because I think a logical progression here is that somehow eventually Kevin and Joe fight over the U.S. title. So one of them has to get it. The question is whether I think Chris retains, then fights Joe and loses to Joe at Payback or whatever. Or do I think Kevin wins the belt, Chris and Joe fight at Payback, Joe destroys Chris, Chris goes away, and then he somehow faces Kevin. This is a tough one. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with Chris retains over Kevin here. Then Kevin and Joe beat down Chris. Joe and Chris fight at Payback. I'm going with that. So Chris Jericho over Kevin Owens for the U.S. title. Because for some reason that feels right. In the sense, because they teased Joe and Chris on Raw. And I think they have to go towards that now. And I don't really see how they do that if Kevin... I mean, I suppose if you want to end the Triple H Kevin thing, you could immediately have Chris versus Joe for the #1 contender shot. Joe beats down Chris, eliminates Chris completely. Chris, you know, goes away now and does whatever Fozzy has to do. Therefore, making Kevin versus Joe, which makes... Actually, do that. Kevin wins, and then Chris gets destroyed by Joe on Raw, and then goes away. Joe fights Kevin. That sows some dissent beneath Triple H, setting up, like, you know, Kevin versus Triple H at SummerSlam or something along those lines, or versus Joe, whatever way that shakes out. So I'm gonna go Kevin. I think I'm gonna go Kevin. I don't know. I've changed my mind 3 times now. Alright, Chris wins. Fuck it. I wrote it on a piece of paper. Chris wins. Done. Chris! Exclamation point. The Women's Raw title match. Bayley, Charlotte, Sasha, Nia Jax. I am semi-ironically and semi-really rooting for Nia Jax here, so I'm going to get that out of the way. I'm also going to get out of the way the fact that Charlotte's not winning this match, and my way that Nia could win, and then my actual choice. So, Bayley, she could obviously just retain. Makes perfect sense to me why she would just retain. I think Sasha is, it almost feels like she's the second most likely, but I'm actually going to say she's the third most likely. I think in order to do the Bayley-Sasha storyline correctly, you can't have Sasha win the belt here. Because let's say Nia eliminates Bayley, and then it's Sasha and Nia as the last 2, and Sasha beats Nia. How does that sow dissent between Bayley and Sasha? It doesn't really. But if you have Nia win, say, and then you have Sasha versus Bayley for the #1 contender, that would sow that kind of dissent. Charlotte can't win this because we're done with that right now. We're done with that. That's it. It's over. It's done with. So I feel like Nia's more likely to win. And because, you know, I want Sasha, say, to interfere and, you know, like, get eliminated and then attack Bayley. Because that seems like what's going to happen here, right? It's an elimination match for a reason. Now, the reason could be Nia eliminates Charlotte and sets up a feud there. But it also feels like when someone gets eliminated, the point is that they come back into the match and then, you know, fuck it up. Okay, I think I just came up with it. Alright, I'm just going to lock this down now. Nia, and I've changed completely my order of predictability for who can win. Nia eliminates Charlotte, setting up that feud. Nia is then eliminated by either Bayley or Sasha, probably Bayley. But Nia gets pissed, comes back in and wrecks Bayley. And as part of the heel turn, Sasha takes the free pinfall on a destroyed Bayley. So, you know, she doesn't actually do her finisher. She doesn't do anything to Bayley. She just goes for the pin after Nia has laid waste to Bayley. Sasha Banks is your new champion. Nia's facing Charlotte, and Bayley's best friend Sasha has turned on her. Nia is the best. Okay, that's it. And we're going for Sasha Banks as my victor in that match. Moving on, Shane McMahon versus AJ Styles for absolutely no reason. In the absolutely no reason match, AJ Styles wins, and if AJ Styles does not win, I'm literally going to lose my mind, so I will not talk about this further. AJ Styles wins. Seth Rollins versus Triple H in a non-sanctioned match. I still am unclear on how this actually is going to go down. I don't know, honestly, what the non-sanctioned match is going to look like. It links to, like, a no DQ, basically. Obviously, Samoa Joe gets involved. You see, like, I think Seth winning the feud is obviously how this is going to go. However, I don't see how Seth can defeat Triple H and Samoa Joe, which is why, you know, going back to Chris and Kevin, I feel like that's where Joe has to be taken out from the night so that he can't get involved in this. I mean, that's assuming that happens before this as well. I think this feud has to continue. So here's my prediction I've been making all week, and I'm going to stick to it. I think Seth hits the pedigree on Triple H. Everyone goes, oh my god, Seth wins. But because when you do a pedigree, you land on your knees. I think Seth, you know, hits the ground, pops, rolls to the side, you know, starts grabbing his knee, you know, whatever. Takes a little time in pain. Crawls over for the cover. Goes for it. 1, 2. Triple H kicks out because it took too long after he injured the knee. You know, Joe, say he was taken out. He recovers on the outside. He gets in. They both beat down Seth. And then Triple H walks away victorious, you know, leading to a better match down the line when Seth is healthy. So I'm presuming that Seth is still considered unhealthy right now. And I think Triple H and Joe dispose of him after he almost wins, but is, you know, hindered by the knee after the pedigree. Triple H wins, setting up, you know, SummerSlam rematch or whatever. Undertaker versus Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is probably going to win this. Why? I don't know. Now, I don't like Roman at all. I don't like the way they book Roman. I don't like anything Roman does. I can't stand the guy. It's not really a personal issue, obviously, with him, but the way he's booked confuses me. I mean, he acts like a dick all the time, but I'm supposed to cheer him, even though he's a dick. He, you know, does that thing that I can't stand where you're dying, you get kick out of 75 things, and then you hit one of yours and you win. So, I mean, I would have, like, if Roman Reigns had beat the streak, like, if this was the streak still, and Roman Reigns was going to beat it, first of all, I'd be pissed, because I'd be like, oh, fucking, for Christ's sake, he does it again. But I'd still say, like, okay, you're building a star, whereas with Brock, that wasn't what was happening. So, to me, this makes no sense for Roman to win, because I don't see what good that does. Like, I would just feed the Undertaker people he can beat. For example, I would have done John Cena, had Undertaker beat John Cena. And John doesn't lose anything. Taker doesn't lose or gain anything, but, you know, he wins at WrestleMania in his one match. People want to see him win his one match of the year, basically. So, I mean, I would have the Undertaker win this match, and I wouldn't have him fighting Roman Reigns. I don't think Roman loses anything either. But I also think, like, you can't give people like me the satisfaction of watching Roman lose at Mania. So, Roman wins. Now, if this is Undertaker's last match, I really wish it was Buried Alive. I know that we have probably a PG issue with Buried Alive, but, like, Undertaker's the undead guy. He's a zombie, basically. Like, if he was buried alive, is he really buried? Like, it's not like murder, because he's already dead, right? What is the story here? I don't know. Is he already dead? Are we still doing that? Is he still already dead? I don't know. But, like, I think you could get away with it, even in the PG era, you know, because he's the Undertaker. And he always loses it, and I think a good way to end his career would be he's buried alive. So, I would totally be down for them to go with that angle. That's not the angle we're going for here. I hope it's not his last match, because I wish that it was, you know, booked and billed as his last match if it was going to be it. But I know that physically, you know, maybe mentally it's not his last match, but physically it just might end up being that way. It would really suck if Roman Reigns retired the Undertaker. This is probably not going to be a very good match. I mean, the way Taker's looked has been shaky, but maybe it could be. Maybe they can pull it out. I don't know. As long as Roman doesn't win by one spear, I'm okay. But Roman Reigns over the Undertaker, more than likely, I would say. Goldberg versus Lesnar, because this is the way this is listed, even though this will probably go on last. Now, you see, I think they want Goldberg versus Roman, and I think they want Roman to beat Goldberg for the title. And I think having him beat The Undertaker could be the setup for that. Like, you know, Brock is the only one who beat The Undertaker at Mania. Now, Roman's done it. Brock can't beat Goldberg. Maybe Roman can, or some stupid shit. It's just what I feel in my heart. But I also... Goldberg doesn't seem capable of wrestling a match. I mean, I don't think he is, because then why has he never tried to in this little run here? Like, I know the shock value of, oh, he beat him, but, like, I don't think he can do a match, so it's like, what is the point unless Roman wins by one spear against him? And then, I mean, talk about destroying Brock Lesnar if you have Brock, you know, not win here again. So, I'm going with the idea that Goldberg goes for a spear. Brock finally moves out of the way, because they just had him get speared on Monday. So, like, they're setting up, you know, Goldberg's going to hit the spear, which, I mean, they've been setting up for months, but they set it up recently, sort of like last year when Shane jumped from the corner through the table, which was kind of telegraphing him off the cell through the table. I think that they're kind of telegraphing that, you know, he's going to go for the spear. I think Brock either moves or Paul pushes him out of the way or whatever. Somehow Goldberg misses the spear and either spears the ring post or spears the steel steps. F5, it's over, Brock wins. I mean, that's how I see this going down. And then finally, Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. Bray Wyatt has to win this match. Period. End of discussion. This isn't up for debate. He has to win this match. The question is whether he will. I mean, like, look. The guy never wins anything, okay? The fucking guy was supposed to fight Randy Orton at a pay-per-view, fucking, I don't know, Backlash or No Mercy or whatever the fuck it was. And he fucking lost to Kane, who was the replacement for Randy Orton after Randy Orton's stitches weren't healed enough. I mean, he lost to Kane. I like Kane, but he lost to Kane, who that was like his only match this year. Like, Bray Wyatt cannot lose at Mania again, and he cannot lose this belt this quickly. So Bray Wyatt has to win. Whether he wins by Sister Abigail interference, which should happen but probably won't because they just like to fucking tease this shit. Whether he wins because Harper helps or Eric Rowan helps or they all fucking help, or he mind controls Randy into taking the pin, or he mind controls Xavier Woods during the fucking like host segment backstage into helping. Whatever it is, Bray Wyatt, by some fucking shit, because he has to goddamn win. Period. End of discussion on this. There is no more time to have this debate. It should be the main event of the night. Goldberg and Brock should go on ahead of it, just so you don't telegraph the time of Goldberg and Brock, because if you put it on the end, people will kind of guess how long it's going to be. Put this on last, have Bray win, and have Bray, you know, doing this in the center of the ring to end the night. Thank you guys for watching so much. Hopefully I can record a different one of these with other people, but if not, this is my predictions for WrestleMania 33. Leave your thoughts below, and I will see you all later.